camera. Yeah. Don't want to.
The other thing on the camera,
It's for edification.
Right? So, we're just out here teaching people who he is according to the scriptures, right? I don't know if you have a phone and thing, right? You just click on scan the video, right? And you'll just see channel and thing, right? So what we're out here doing is we're teaching people who he is according to the scriptures, right? And it's important that they know who he is because you know what's going on here with the whole drama with Trinidad and things. You know,
Yeah.
So what do you think about that too?
Same thing I was talking about, like less than 30 minutes ago. I'm saying it's crazy. And then it's because I'm a person who really believes in, how would I say this? Alright, let me put it this way. We're spiritual, yes. We believe in God, yes. I don't know whoever pray to who or whatever is the case. What I'm saying is that at the end of the day, it's human warring against human. So once it's human warring against human, then it's a no-no. Totally against that.
Well, let me say this, right? Not everybody thinks like that, you know, because when it was human warring against human, or when it was a time of peace back then, you know, it still had a certain remnant of people going through a certain affliction, right?
Right.
So let me give you an example, right? So like when the times was at peace back then during slavery and all that things, them was at peace, but it was always somebody getting afflicted and things. So my point is, right, what we just here to show you too is where it is according to the Bible before all of this drama and thing happen, right? So what type of people would call like me, you and the brother? What type of people would call? Like what type of people would say this?
Just by
like as an ethnicity.
I mean, based on the whole approach, based on how you express yourself, then obviously, the first thing comes to mind is just, you know, how would I say, peaceful?
No, like as an ethnicity. Like an ethnicity.
Meaning?
Like a race.
Oh.
Yeah, they would call it like black and thing, right? But what we just always see is that, you know, on a deeper level, we're not really black people. Right? Because when you look at it, you have other races that are darker than me and you.
Right,
and they don't call themselves black and thing, right? So, at the end of the day, our color is not heritage because I can't go and look in an ancestry for father black and thing, right? I can't go in an ancestry to look for father white and thing, right? So everybody have a heritage, right? So I read our scripture, right? So this is the book of Isaiah chapter 1 and verse 3, right? So this is Isaiah 1 and verse 3. So it says, the ox knoweth his owner and the ass his master's crib, but Israel does not know and my people does not consider, right? As black people, right? What is we heritage? We would say we heritage, right? And I'm not talking about after slavery because you know after slavery we was trying to do things to recreate yourself and thing, right? A heritage don't start from slavery, right? So what is we heritage from before that? What kind of God we were serving? What type of food we use?
Good question. Good question, yeah.
Right? Because everybody know their heritage, everybody know their tradition and thing, right? Like for example, Indian, like all the curry and thing and the spices, they wasn't using that today, you know, they was using that back then. Right? Diwali and all these other holidays and things. These things is you know, things that they celebrate and all of these things.
Alright, so we live and based on what you were taught. And not only that, but I mean as you know, you go along, you kind of try to, I don't know if it's the everybody thing, but you try to find a track. Why? The question you probably start asking yourself, why am I here? Where am I from? And you have seen different color, you have seen persons with straight hair, you have seen all kind of these things. So you start questioning a lot, like there are so many things to start questioning.
Well, that's a good point to it because everybody want to know where they come from.
Right. Definitely.
Right? So I just came to show you also too that we is not so called black people, right? Because what she call a rabang and what she call a skin, you know that, right? Right? When you go into the word black, you see black associated with a lot of negative stuff. For example,
I love when you bring up that part. Yeah, right.
So like for example, if let's say that root boy was real black and thing, you drink that like pitch black, like oil black, you drink that so? Nah, you wouldn't drink that thing. I same thing with food and all these other things, right? So when you really check it out, our color is not heritage, right? So when you go into the scriptures and you go into the book of Deuteronomy, you ever hear about the children of Israel and stuff?
Yeah, but not as much as you know, I probably, how would I say? I would just simply say not as much.
Not as much as thing, right? But when you go to the Christian churches and things, they would like to talk about Israel and talk about Israel.
Definitely.
You ever wonder, you ever say, I ever see an Israelite to see where they is today? Like where the nation is. You know, where the people, where these great people that God delivered from Egypt, right? And delivered them from the enemies. Where they is today? You ever wonder where they is, bro?
They're obviously they must be gone.
Alright, they must be gone, right? But they're still here today, right? And I'll show you which part there is, right? When you go through the book of Deuteronomy, God said that how you put curses and or blessings on the Israelites, depending on what part they choose. And I don't know if you just read the Bible and stuff, right? Israel was a rather obedient or disobedient nation.
Israel.
They was rather obedient or disobedient.
I'm going to be honest. In terms of knowledge, and that?
You're not too sure.
Yeah.
You're not too sure. That's okay. Everything is about a learning experience.
Yeah, definitely.
So, about a good quarter, right? About the scriptures, it's always God having to tell the Israelites and discipline the Israelites for the things that they basically did, right? And serving other gods and things, right? So let me read some of these curses and things, right? And let me see what happened to the Israelites and who they is today and who these curses fit today as our people, right? So this is Deuteronomy chapter 28, right? And verse 15, right? So it says, Deuteronomy 28 and verse 15. So it says, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee, right? And our curses are a good thing or a bad thing?
But
Curses are a bad thing, right? Our curses have to be a bad thing, right? So, let me read a few of these curses, right? Not taking up much of your time, right? So it says, cursed shall thou be in the city, and cursed shall thou be in the field, right? So let me answer this, right? It says cursed in our city, right? Like, you know, this city, every city has, you know, good, bad, every city has, you know, the high infrastructure, low infrastructure and thing, right? So, what country are you from?
Jamaica.
You're from Jamaica? Right, that is right. So,
One of the terrible places
right?
on the planet.
So, alright, what is the lowest part of Jamaica, right? Like in terms of city and infrastructure, what is the lowest part you would call that area, right? Part of city, what's the lowest part you would call it?
Yeah, so many.
But
But I could probably, yeah, like, you know, almost everywhere.
almost everywhere.
Almost everywhere. Like,
Almost everywhere.
almost everywhere.
Yeah, I understand that, right? But
It would be real hard to, like just pick a particular place. You know, well, you have places that are more popular in terms of names and probably, but it's like just it's everywhere.
But you have a lot of ghettos and stuff in Jamaica.
Exactly,
right?
that's the reason why I said
I
everywhere.
understand, right? So in terms of these ghettos and slums and things, right? So who dwells in these places on a majority, these ghettos and slums and all this? What type of people dwells in these places on a majority? In terms of race.
In terms of race,
Yeah.
we're all black people.
Yeah, a lot of black people, right?
Mostly black people.
Yeah, mostly black.
Yeah.
If I went
We
to
do have
America-
mixed races, you know, but yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Right.
But if I went to America and stuff, right?
Nah.
Well, you ever hear about the hoods and thing and the ghettos and all these places in America, right?
Yes.
Right, and
Even
it's the
recently, I've been, you know, watching a few documentaries.
Yeah, and it's the same black
I realize.
people in the hoods and all this other thing.
Yeah, right.
So I just saying, right? Yeah, that's what I
Right.
Right? And what's that problem in Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago and all over the world? What's that great problem right now? And every country trying to battle like crime and all this other stuff, right? So in terms as an ethnicity, who you say is the most violence when coming to crime, right? Like who does crime on a majority as an ethnicity? You know, always these people had to go through some type of right? You're always thieving, you're always having to struggle to go through this. You had to do this and that, right? For your family and all that stuff, right? So who type of people, right? What type of people does this a lot as an ethnicity? You know? Or subjected unto it, because when you think about it, right? A lot of black people, right, grow up with opportunities that unfortunate opportunities, right?
Right.
Like for example, you know, if you look, a lot of black people, like, you know, don't have a lot fathers in the house and all
Right.
things,
A lot of
so
contributes to it.
subjected to
Right.
being under these things, right?
Yeah.
So it's evidence that we as black people, we go through these type of things,
Right.
right? So I'll read that next one, right? So it says, cursed shall thou be in the field, right? So who was cursed to work in the field? Hot sun, no pay, right? All your increases, you're basically giving it to whoever sent it to work in that field. Who was subjected to do all these things.
Based on the knowledge again, comes back to black people. Not only black people though, because what based on trying to seek knowledge and whatever, we realize that you still have other persons other than who is considered as black people, who is still a part of the slavery.
So, yes. Well, the so-called black people, right, or the so-called Negro lineage, right? It consists of blacks, Hispanic, right?
Definitely. That's the reason I mentioned that.
So for example, all these things, right? Even like the so-called Venezuelan. Even though they just try to make it seem like we's not friends and this and that, right? They consist of that same lineage.
Yeah, that's what I get to
right? So all them, like for example, the Mexican and all these other things, right? You'll get to that, right? So it says, right? Here shall thou be in the field, right? So we people were subjected to be in the fields, hot sun, right? No rest, no reward for believers and all these other things, right? So I read our next one, right? This is Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 54. So it says, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil towards his brother, and towards the wife of his bosom, and towards the remnant of his children which he shall leave, right? So the scriptures say that the Israelite man, right, would have, back then they had a good eye towards their brother, right? Like let's say I know that if you go down that road, somebody certainly kill you, I would tell you. But who as an ethnicity have an evil eye towards your brother? They just pull on the brother on our maturity, right? They're not studying like let's say I watch your slippers, right? So I watch your slippers and I say, well, these boy, I like them slippers, bro. So well, I want to take them slippers, bro, So who does pull on the brother on our majority as an ethnicity? Who would say? Pull on their own.
I can't see them own. You see it, you just mentioned it's your own people.
So we said us that on a majority.
On a majority.
Let's come out with so nothing can matter.
Yeah, cause I don't like them. That's why not the first time. But anyway, yeah.
So we said us that on a majority.
I consider honestly,
evidential. Right in front of you, just pull on the people on a majority.
I consider my own people.
Exactly, your own people.
I consider my own people.
Like for example, I don't know what you're going through, I don't know how much money you have in your hand, right? But I wouldn't want to see you rise up and have an opportunity better than me because I pray you get through, more than me, I pray you get more money and all these other things, right? So leaders do this at it evidential, right? As a majority, like for example, right? Look right here in Trinidad, right? You'll see a lot of Indians helping their own people, a lot of places just Indians looking at loan and all these other things, right? Even family-wise, they just fight for, although they just fight for land and thing, although they just fight for land and thing, right? But they're fighting for land for the family. But we just rather pull down. A lot of people can't even live in a family yard, right? Because there's always some auntie, some bacchanal, some uncle, some kind of drama, some kind of tea or something they would say, right? So there's always some type of drama, right? So we people known for this, right? And it says, and towards the wife of his bosom, and towards the remnant of his children, which he shall leave, right? In terms as an ethnicity, who as an ethnicity, right? Has, in terms as race something, right? Who you would say has the least father in the household, it's always the father, they want to take care of the child, or the father in jail, right? Or some type of thing, right? What type of people grows up and a majority without the father? That is in name and things like race.
What kind of alright. How I view this, right? Is you see, most of what I know in language content, it's basically almost got everything in it everywhere. So even alright, so we have black people say our own people still say, right? Not to say we still have other races.
Yes,
our own people does the same. So it's a confusing kind of thing.
I mean always
alright.
Sorry,
you can go ahead.
I don't want to interrupt you.
Well, yeah, so as I was saying, it's kind of confusing because I mean, well, as far as I know, or my understanding, that people probably does not know that
No, well, because
more than any other.
No, because what? Check it out,
Which
right?
I
agree with you with that one.
Yeah.
Because remember, it's a curse. Remember, a curse is something that stands out. Remember, God said that, here what? If you listen to me, or if you disobey me, I'll pay a curse or blessing. So he put these things on a particular nation here to see what's going on. Like for example, right? Like for example, right? So you have some areas in Trinidad that you wouldn't go because you know it's some robbery. So you go and get robbed, somebody go and watch you too hard, you might get shoot something, right? Not to say that you don't have other places doing that, but the type of stuff, exactly. So the type of stuff that goes on in there is so much that you wouldn't even go, right? Like for example, Port of Spain, Port of Spain dangerous, right? Somebody right now could just come and just rob me and you, right? But at the end of the day, it withstandable that you could come and just do a business and just go so far, right? So you see that this happens on a majority, not saying that other races don't go through this, right? But it happens to us on a majority, right? And one last thing before you go, right? So how we as black people, right? So how we as black people get here to Trinidad, right? How we as black people get here to Trinidad. Right, or some slavery, even Jamaica.
Connected to, right. The Caribbean, the whole Caribbean is connected to slavery.
Exactly. Right, and what type of transportation they go to slavery?
Most likely, because them times, I thought we had
planes and
obviously, the most by sea, and once it's by sea,
by ship, exactly, by ships and things. You believe that's an excuse in the Bible? You believe that's an excuse in our language?
Thing is, yeah, we do read the Bible, but it's just that I've never read the Bible before.
But you had to read? No, because let me tell you something. A lot of information. You see, a lot of people.
I'm going to say something that's happening.
Yeah. A lot of people have told me and say, well, I serve in God on my own and this and that, right? But how you could know God and know what God loves? You can't even read. Well, exactly. Like a lot of these churches just come with laws saying you can't wear no jewelry, you can't drink no alcohol. Women could do this, men could do that, and whatever, and they don't even read the Bible.
But at the end of the day, too, you still have laws and regulations.
Exactly, you still have laws and regulations. Right?
Even the time of Christ, I mean, the whole law and regulations.
Yeah, so I tell you, these are the penalties for the laws and regulations.
There are still laws and regulations. So, you can go ahead.
Yeah, so these are the same laws and regulations that all people broke to God put us in this estate, right? So this is Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 68, right? And that's something, right? So it says, right? So it says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. Because if you know anything about when Israel was in Egypt, right? There was under bondage under Pharaoh. You hear about that, right? There was in Egypt doing slavery, and alright, but there was on bondage under Pharaoh, right? So check it out, right? So he brought them out of that bondage, and he said that I would bring all them back into that bondage.
I don't mean to pertaining to the chapters, right? Deuteronomy.
Yeah, Deuteronomy.
Some of these.
Right? You could even read it, right?
Yeah, that's the reason why I asked.
So it says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you, right? So the scriptures say that we are so-called black people, right? Well, we say Israelites really, right? I understand it here, right? Because are we disobedience, God said that how he put us on slavery with ships, right? And who is the onlyest nation that went through that? Black people, right? Because no other nation was beaten and enslaved as a whole nation. Because check it out, right? If that was the case, they would have lose their heritage, right? They would have not know. But when you check the Chinese man know where he come from, he know his heritage, he know his Buddha, he know his temple, right? The so-called Indian man know when look Diwali there was the other day, right? That is them heritage, right? The so-called white man know them heritage and all these other things, right? So every nation knows their heritage, right? But we as Israel, we don't know our heritage.
I was just going to answer, so why did that black people don't know?
Exactly, right? And we went through this because we break God's commandments, right? So if you think that we going through this and we still going through this because we break God's commandments, what do you think we should do in order to get back on in layman's terms, going good side. Where you think we should be?
There's so many different things that we should do.
No, but if we break the commandments and we in this estate, what we should be?
Well, obviously, alright, so we become and we need to get back there.
So how we should get back there?
Obviously, we have with us, guys.
By keeping
Follow.
the rules.
Yeah.
Exactly, by keeping the commandments.
Go back to rules, but how do we go back to rules?
Right? By keeping the commandments.
You know, alright, for example, individually, I as a person, I know, just like I say now, we're talking about the slums and we're talking about it's a choice. I mean, honestly, I don't even know if they explain this part. Because I didn't even have to listen to it. I guarantee you, if put the donation right now, I probably be one of the only ones who stop. I don't just stop them.
No, because it's not coincidence. No, it's not coincidence.
So,
Back what we get to see.
so, yeah, right. So what I'm saying is that now, like, it's still a person who is probably part of the same kind of thing. They don't even care about ways.
No, exactly, right? So
Or don't even stop eating. Because that's my whole motive of even stopping.
No, and I show you later a lot.
The insight of, I don't even know what you're saying. I will deal with it. But just, listening, just as I'm a person who like information too. So that's one of the reasons why I stopped just listen, just hear what you're, coming at us.
And when you check it out, right, you have majority of people who comfortable with not even knowing where they come from, right? Not knowing that all history is in the Bible.
Really important to know that. Same thing, it goes back to the same thing you're saying now. These other persons or people, they want to know where they're coming from. I listened to an Italian man years ago, and he's chatting with his family. He website for that person. He's like, where are African or whoever you are? Just to can show that. So that alone kind of show me something. And then I said, like, I haven't seen or never seen black person. It's not about race either. But, I've never seen a black person trying to trap.
No, actually,
so I just said, like, obviously you feel like a person.
Yeah, exactly.
Comes right back to what I say.
Because all other
Have to
nations,
be a person.
exactly, right? And check it out, right? You would say it's a Jamaican, right? But you know why? You know what the term Jamaican come from? Term Jamaica come from.
And I never even
When you look it up, Jamaica comes
even when
from
I said I knew that.
Jamaica.
Like they started based on my knowledge, small knowledge. It's so it's basically I wouldn't go into Greek for where they now. Everything is from the Greek or such and such. It's funny I would say America.
All of these things, right? But when you look it up, Jamaica already comes from the term the land of wood and water. Right?
Yeah. The meaning, right.
Because what they used to do is they used to replace slave ships and things back in Jamaica and stuff, right? So when you call yourself a Jamaican, you're actually calling yourself after a term of slavery. Because basically they're saying that is the harbour where we used to repair ships and things, right? So you're just calling yourself from that harbour and all them things, right? So that's to tell you that a lot of these nationalities or a lot of these places that we claim, well, is this, is that, is not really that, right? So I just come to show you these are Israelites, right? And if you look on the flyer, right? Yeah, this flyer important, right? If you look on the flyer, look to the back of the flyer, right? It says these all the tribes are Israel, right? So you would be, they would call us West Indians, right? So you would be an Israelite from the tribe of Benjamin, right? So what we out here to show people is who there is according to the Bible, and we have to keep God's commandments. You just keep any of God's commandments. Right? Just keep any of God's commandments. Like what some commandments say. What some commandments say.
I'm just trying to get do not steal.
Alright, do not steal. But they are more than that, you see pork, you see crab, you see shrimp and all these other things.
I do eat it.
You don't eat meat, but it's a sin to eat pork, crab, lobster and all these things, because these things, when you really check it out, right, God put a separation. Because check it out, right, everybody's saying to eat lobster and thing, right, but lobster, you ever kill a lobster and realize what is be in it, mess and muck and thing, right? Because why? If let me say you had nobody to clean the oceans and thing, right, who you think would preserve the oceans, these animals and all these other things?
I love what you mentioned, right? Because I figured that that's my father. So all my life, being around him, I've never seen that man, 30 years now, I've never seen that man put a piece of meat
sandwiches.
other than fish.
A fish or
Which is still a part of what you're saying.
Yeah, well,
that is that is from the sea, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, yeah.
Right, so all these things we're not supposed to eat, right? And what about pig? You know, a lot of people love pig, but not knowing that these things
and that kind of condemn.
Right.
And then the Bible speaks of some things that kind of steer your mind towards. This is kind of it's a condemned kind of animal. And I wouldn't say it's an animal still, no, but I mean, yes, I want the Bible speak of the past from this one. Yeah, so that kind of.
No, not only that, these animals were really made to preserve the earth because look, watch all this mess and thing, right? If you put a pig here, right? That plastic bag go on.
I know.
That bottle
I
go
know.
on. That bottle go on because why? You see, the Lord created these things to preserve the earth. So when we eat these things, we already preserve the earth and all these other things, right? And plus these things so unhealthy, right? The Chinese man and the so-called whatever white people and thing, right? Them could eat monkey, apple, and all them kind of thing, right? And when them eat them eating raw octopus and thing, right? And then nothing ain't happening to them, right? But as soon as you eat a little blood and raw meat, right? Your stomach start to get upset.
Right.
So that's to show we is a holy nation also too, right? So we is a holy nation. You see, when we go back to Genesis 25, Deuteronomy 7 and verse 6, right? So I'll just read the scripture, right? This is Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 6. So it says, "For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth," right? So God chose the Israelites, right? Which is the so-called blacks, Hispanic, right? And Native Indians, right? Guys, you know, them Apache and thing and stuff, right? They also consist of the so-called black race, right? So God chose these peoples, right, to be above all the people on the face of the earth. But because of all sin and all disobedience, we now at what? Bottom of the food chain, right? Because when you check it out, right, no nation really truly respects us, right? They respect every other nation, but no nation really respects us, right? So the word holy means to set apart. They realize we can't even eat a little blood and thing like all these other nations, right? We don't do a lot of idol worship and thing like what these nations do, right? Look to Ali come in them worshiping statue and thing, but as soon as you come around with that, definitely. So I'm sure we set apart. And one last thing I want to leave here with, right? How they say Christ look with this so-called white man.
Right. All of these kind of portrait.
You think that's right?
Recently I kind of start looking from that whole picture that is, you know, that is shown, that is your code. Yeah. Recently,
started. Yeah, exactly. Well, that is not how we get there. We are reading the Bible how Christ looked, right? Because you know why the interpretation of Christ is there in the Bible, so that no man can deceive him. Like for example, right? If I was to take, well, I don't have no money on me, but if I was to take, so like it had no face on the chin and take $1, right? Well, let me say the US dollar, right? If I was to take one of the presidents and change it into a Chinese man, I think they could take that dollar. Because it's counterfeit,
yeah,
right? So the same thing with the Lord in the scriptures, right? So this Revelation 1 and verse 1, right? The revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave unto him to shew unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass. And he sent and signified it by his angel unto his servant John, right? So John seeing things, right? So let me see what John saw, right? Revelation 1 and verse 30. And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle. So he had a long garment, and he had a golden girdle, right? So that the garments were flat all over the place, right? So it says, his heads and his hairs were white like wool, right? It said that his heads and his hair were white like wool. So when you check it out, right, there's no blonde hair.
Yeah.
And when you really look up to wool, you know what wool really means? Wool really means nappy, right? If I was to take sheep and put it sheep
that's why
and put it on a bald head man, what type of people has that type of exactly like your hair and all these other things, right? Yeah. So it's like an afro we have.
Afro, yeah. Right.
So a white afro the man had, right? So he didn't have no white blonde hair and all these other things.
I get what you're saying,
right? He didn't have no golden blonde hair and all these other things, right? He basically had hair like what you call a nigga. Because what's the difference between us and all other nations? Hair, bro.
more
we don't
this
go
way. It's not
Chinese go
so,
straight here,
yeah, straight
white people
yeah.
go straight here, Indian people go straight here, Japanese people, Korean, all of them just go straight here. But we just go right, work, right? So it says, right, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burnt in a furnace, and the song and his voice as the song of many waters, right? So it says that all his feet, it's already talking about the complexion, because remember you have on our garment, right? It says, because think about it, right? Your feet wouldn't be fine brass and your arm purple and your arm thing, right? Because remember I describing it, right? So what color is brass if you know? What color is brass?
Brass?
Yeah, brass.
What brass?
Brass like in terms of metal, brass.
Oh,
Alright, well brass is brown, right? Okay, brass is brown, right?
Okay.
And if you also take brass and burn it in a furnace, where would it?
Because I would think like probably to
Like burn it.
furnace.
Burn it. Like you burn it. What color would it?
You put that in it. The only thing I know from probably the furnace, that sounds like some kind of orange, bright.
Nah, if you burn
Fire,
anything
fire.
in a furnace, let me say,
Ashes. Wet light.
let me that thing, right? If you also burn it in a furnace, where would it? What color you would take? Anything burn in a furnace, would take. Anything. Like you burn it in fire, where would you take?
Only color I could think of probably red.
Nah. Anything burn in a furnace, bro, it always turns dark, real dark. Real dark, because I'm burning it. If I was to burn that paper, if I was to burn the tree and stuff, it would turn black. Right?
Almost everything comes back to dark.
Yeah, exactly. That is how dark he was. That is how dark he was.
I get what you say, no, I get
So
what
the
you say,
Lord,
I get what you say,
if the Lord was here and walking the face of the earth, he would be considered a super.
I want to ask you one question before.
Yeah, sure.
How do you know a false prophet?
How do you know a false prophet? Alright, I'll share how you know a
I'll go
false
take
prophet.
something.
Right? I'll share what's a false prophet. So this is Deuteronomy chapter 18, right? And the last verse. Right? So it says, verse 21, and if thou say in thy heart, how shall we know the word which the Lord hath spoken? What a prophet speaketh in the name of the Lord, if the thing follow not, nor come to pass, that is the thing which the Lord had not spoken. But the prophet had spoken it presumptuously, thou shalt not be afraid of him. Right? So you does know what is a true or false prophet by what comes to pass, right? Everything that I read in Deuteronomy chapter 28 literally come to pass, right? People, like for example, right? The whole thing with slavery, the whole description I wrote, the history, right? The heritage, where we come from, that we are to keep the commandments and things. Because when Christ was on the face of the earth, what he used to tell them? He used to tell them, oh, keep my commandments, keep my commandments, keep my commandments. And all these prophecies and things, right? Even thing like what I tell you with Venezuela and the whole war and thing, right? All of that, right? That prophesied in the Bible and that will come to pass, right? You wouldn't hear the churches and them and the so-called pastors preaching these things, you know? So,
alright. So, Jamaica, that's done, right? Jamaica, that's done 2 days ago?
Oh yeah, I saw it, yes, I saw it.
Like about a month ago. I've been exactly, I've been precise. About a month ago?
What, you talking about Melissa?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that was just, I think,
some days,
some days, right.
So about 1 month ago, for like, I won't be lie about that. I'm not sure if it's like a whole week, like 7 days, 2 days, or like some days. I know it's more than 1 day. I've been dreaming and I've been, well, I'll tell you no straight, my interpretation. I've been dreaming. For 1 week straight, I feel like waters. Lots of water, like I feel like I've seen waters, I've seen houses. That's why exactly what I feel. In houses, in cupboards. But in my dream, where I'm standing, I'm looking out, I was safe over in my spot. But I've seen water like gushing down and like you know, you kind of get me scared. You wake up and you say, oh, it's not real or whatever. And then 1 month come now. Because I call my mommy first thing first, tell her. Let her know that, hey, you know, I feel like something that I feel like, ah, you must pray on me, whatever. That, pass on that. And here comes 3 weeks after. I get a storm coming. I went to Jamaica like 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Came back. And I see all of that thing. So it's like about 2 days ago now, I'm like, wait. But 1 month ago, like, I've been dreaming like I've seen water, I've seen great flooding, I've seen some things like tsunami. Like that, like some water rushing over, coming over and, persons running, trying to get shelter. I've seen that in my dream. So then I'm trying to connect that to that, but I say probably it's have no relation. But then I really watching it, I really say, but then again, even before you see that, I've been seeing some things like, for example, if I see a blue car here driving down, I realize like probably a few days after, it can be the next day, I see a blue car like do the same thing that I see in my dream, or I would call it dream. And I'm like, what? That's the reason I even asked about traffic. Yeah, so like, seeing them things, and then because I've seen things in the dream, and then I realize I've seen it in real life. I realize, like, it scares me, like, a lot of times I can't sleep.
Well, that's happened.
That's what I
No,
say.
God doesn't
How you
give,
feel think that?
no, God doesn't give.
Like, for real?
Yeah, So check it out. These fools here, 12 and 10, right? I have spoken by the prophets, and I have multiplied vision and used similitudes by the ministry of the prophets, right? So sometimes, the Lord will give you dreams and visions and all these things, right? Even destruction, right? It even has certain brothers and stuff, right? That we know, right? Even our destruction of this world, because this world not gonna last forever, right? Because this world literally is in the hand of the wicked, right? And to prove that, if you look to control basically certain parts like this, right? Look at these men like Trump, them not here to save
we realize.
Look at worship literally was important, right? Them not here to save you, them here to destroy you. So God will send visions and dreams and Lord's will, and all praises that He would send something release so that you can understand what's coming on time something, right? And as I say, these things don't happen for a coincidence. It's not a coincidence, you just hear and you come and because you never hear people talking about the Bible and talk about the scriptures. How
never even stop with a person.
Exactly.
No time at all. Like,
exactly. Right? And one last thing, right? Would you say you love God? Would you say you love God?
Of course. I believe I'm real spiritual. That's my ground, that's my roots. I do things outside of the box, When I say outside of the box, not to the extent that to the extreme. I mean, yeah. Give dark one. I do. Not that I don't know, like I know the difference, I'm more else, so I know it's wrong from right. So it's not my side that I feel like I want to take that.
And that's sensitive, right? At the end of the day, to get
and in the
drunk,
Bible tells you, the Bible, I was just going to that. The Bible tells you that, I don't even consider that the Bible to wine. Well, anyway.
So this is how to love God, right? 1 John 5 and 3. For this is the love of God, that we keep His commandments, and His commandments are not grievous, right? So this is the love of God, right? That we keep His commandments, right? So if you love God, you have to keep His commandments,
right?
Like for example, going back to the unclean foods, right? For example, today is Sabbath and all these other things, right? And going back to wearing fringes and all these other things. Exactly. No, it is. And I know.
And I trust me. I'm one of them. I serious myself. Like I know a person who you can't tell them about work on the Sabbath. You can't tell them that. They care less about work. They care less about eating because Sabbath is more than important. You need more than yourself. Sabbath.
And I saw some people, keep God's commandments.
And I don't want to do it, but sometimes you're doing
I mean, I understand that this will
why you're trying to survive? It's confusing because you're trying to survive and at the same time you have to like should be at work, should be celebrating, should be worshiping God, should be doing that then grateful and grateful here. I should be ready and a servant, I should be worshiping all of these things come to mind. Kind of confusing. But I mean
right? I mean, this world makes things hard, right? Even like for example, all the foods and thing and all of this.
I can say
all of this, they make things hard. They make
I don't know what you're saying, pertaining to them food because I know all of that, but
but no, I'm telling you the truth, right? We have to keep God's commandments and we have to be serious about God and keep His commandments. Because if we people, check it out, right? There are nations and them, they could basically sin and all these other things, right? But when you check it out, nothing really happened to them. Them in a lower estate, right? Them literally serving idols. But we people, when we do these things, all these curses come upon us, right? They come like a man getting a hiss, doing a hiss. But if you do it, you will get catch. But you ain't getting no catch, right? Because God dealing with you, right? God not dealing with anybody else but the nation of Israel, right? So that's why we're going to be sending prophets out here to talk to you and talk to all people to basically show them, you know, who they is, what's their heritage, what's their nationality, and all these other things, right? So, you know, not to keep from your time, there's our conversation, it can be fly and all these other things, right? So, stuff, right?
Yeah, man, definitely. Yeah.
Flyer also have contact information, right? Try not to pull it up, right?
I'm trying to hold it that tight, man, sir.
Understand, right? Flyer have contact information, any questions, you could always call questions in
email or WhatsApp.
You could email and stuff, right? And also too, if you're interested in hearing more about the truth, right? You have contact information and stuff, right? And you could just basically, you know, reach out and
Yeah, man, no problem, man.
right? Because this is serious, right? Because you wouldn't hear anybody else tell you this. You only hear churches and God said, you only hear a man talking here with a camera and say, and God says this and God says this, and you ain't learned nothing yet. By showing these 10 minutes, 15 minutes, however long here, 30 minutes or however long here, you learn a lot, right? You learn a lot, right? And at the end of the day, I can't show you everything here on the spot because it will take time.
Yeah.
So that is why it's of your own interest and God does include people, right? When you pray and they say, Father, show me the truth, right? He will just show you the truth back then. He will lead you, he will direct your steps, right? And that goes back to Proverbs, the 3rd chapter, where it says, man's steps is all in the Lord. So you're not confident in him, right? So you rather take it up on yourself to say, well, alright, well, I wonder what else we have to do, but I wonder what is this, I wonder what is that.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
So,
I'm that kind of person anyway.
right? So hopefully you'll hear from you, bro.
Yeah, man, definitely. And I hope I'm not telling you, man. I really ain't.
Nah, right?
Listen, look.
Right, so, all good.
Me? Yeah. But that,